we never actually experience death, like when we die, we're gone, so it's like you can think about like how our mortality and like sort of be scared of like dying, but we'll never experience death as a thing. That's like kind of like a redeeming thing, almost like sort of a positive thing. Is like, you can agonize about it, but you will never experience the thing. You might feel agony as you're sort of going away, but it's just like, as long as you're living, you're alive. But it's like, it's similar to, I mean, both the fossils and the ravens, which I was going to mention, are like quite heavily represented in the book I published with Void last year, like Death Is Not Here. But it's like about sort of giving some visibility to those other species. Like for me, like the ravens is like a huge thing. Like it's just like, or birds in general, is like these societies living around us, like it's just like, but we're so like focus on this kind of human thing, it's just like, but there's all these like societies that are completely there, they just don't have iPhones, but they're not less fallible because of that.
Like, and we are supreme because we have an iPhone. I'm just kidding. That's we have this. Steve talks about all the time. He talks about this this problem of supremacy. We think we are the supreme species, or we.
Well, that's the thing. That's a very crucial thing. That's a very crucial thing.
Yeah, but and he thinks that's the part of the issues that we have in the world today, is this false sense of supremacy, we've conquered nature and or we've conquered what it means to be human, but realistically we haven't. So. What do you think about that? Do you think that's?
Oh no,
it's an interesting conversation.
Like, yeah, no, that is complete the poison that will destroy humanity, the world. It's just like that's the feeling of human superiority. It's like, yeah,
it's interesting. Yeah, it's
But I mean, because it's like it's just a destructive thing. It's just like we feel like we're entitled to everything and to destroy everything and take resources of everything. For what, really? It just yeah. I mean, it's like, honestly, it's like if you can go down that path and you just like talk. It's like two guys talking at a pub, but like sort of like after having like 20 beers, so like. The essence, like the essence of things is like, like, and to me, it's like a super crucial thing. Like, it's just like when you start talking about the core of meaningfulness about anything, you're talking in cliches, but sure. That is where, but that's why I was like, I think the French word for negative is cliche, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's like, I always think about that. It's like, cliche. It's the truth, that is what is in the negative. But that's where you get to, if you like go pare this down, it's like, oh yes, life is about this. It's like, yeah, fucking, that's it. Yeah, cliches, and we all know that, we all know these things, but we just more comfortable ignoring the truths that we all know instinctively.
Well, this gives us a great opportunity to move right into your work, and so we can kind of take a look at some of your visual language and take a look at some of those projects. And then I definitely want to take a look at your latest book. So let's do that.
So I've just got the PDF open now of the book I published last year with Void, which is called Death Is Not Here. And sort of on the like I said, I can sort of like talk you through each of the pages, but like, on the cover, you actually see is a beautiful design by João Lineu of Void, who's a very talented designer. But they're all like sort of little drawings actually I made of my fossil collection. And so the book is basically lots of work I sort of made during sort of like COVID. So in a way, it's like a COVID pandemic kind of book. but it's features like thematically, it's like it goes through a lot of different things. I think that's what sort of was quite interesting for people who sort of got the book like that. It's like it's quite a big scope of what's happening in there, but you sort of alluded to a few things like fossils, the ravens, pictures of my son. So it's quite a strange kind of book, and like with a lot of sort of things going on in it. So it's like see like my son playing with a friend in the garden in the mud. Anyway, I could sort of talk through a few things, but I mean, basically, I something that features quite heavily is the ravens. Like my wife is like a quite avid bird watcher, and sort of by proxy, I'm also like a bird watcher, and I started shooting like birds like a fair few years ago with this kind of strange telescopic mirror lens, and I started becoming really obsessed with these ravens in particular. Yeah, look, I said it's a very the sequence is quite crazy. I mean, it's like I said before, like I mean, I pretty much like handed over all these images to like the Void team, Visto, and then sort of sequenced it in this kind of weird palindromic way. But like,
Yeah.
so I'm just gonna be like bouncing around a bit, like if I try to like look through these images. But like, so you mentioned that before about like digging. I mean, before we were recording, like about sort of your childhood, so like digging holes, and like I had like a similar experience. But then this is something that occurred like in my backyard, sort of during one of the lockdowns, and my son was like just wanted to play like Minecraft in real life in the backyard. And I was like, okay, let's go, let's get a shovel and let's start digging, you know. And then yeah, we create this like huge hole, and you can sort of see in the center, you can see like this dimple, that is dark dimple, which was actually the grave of one of my chickens that was buried a few years ago. So actually quite decomposed, but yeah, and then like I was like, oh, let's pour some petrol on the edge and let's light it on fire. It's just for the photo, like it's just it became this quite interesting thing. But then I was like thinking as well, like I mean, of like how fossils were formed, like what, just seeing the like the layering and like the soil was like really interesting, and sort of it all sort of it's all. I mean, obviously, like most of us, we have like struggles with mental health and like having like dark thoughts and stuff, and like the book sort of has that quite dark sort of undertone about things, and like um the title like Death Is Not Here is like it's from Epicurus. It's like describing like I mean um that we never actually experience death, you know, like we when we die we don't we're gone, you know. So it's like you can think about like how our mortality and like sort of be scared of like dying, but we'll never experience death as a thing, as like kind of like a redeeming thing, almost like sort of a positive thing. Is like, you know, you can agonize about it, but it's just, you will never experience the thing. You might feel agony as you're sort of going away, but it's just like, as long as you're living, you're alive. I mean, it sounds quite basic, but it's just like, in a way, that sort of was thematically what sort of, because I mean, that's the only sort of text that's in the book, really, you know, it's that title. So like everything was like, there was just like a sheet that's hanging on my washing line that I like the shape of it, and people looking at the book seeing this, I was like this kind of funeral kind of curtains or something, you know, and so they're always like, it's sort of hyper local, everything that I shot. So it's all pretty much all shot around the house. So it's like my daughter was born sort of during the last sort of lockdown, and then so it's all like hyper local works. And then here sort of the fossil starts. That is was what I was describing earlier, making those like little still lifes with these fossils and like photographing them. It becomes like quite sculptural and quite sort of compositional. And I was actually shooting lots of it with the same lens as I shoot the birds with, so which is kind of strange. But like some of it's shot in like a large format. This is actually like an iPhone photo of a negative. There's like it's some of that. There's some even like some digital photos in it. Like lots of the work is actually like scans of prints as well. These just like darkroom prints that are scanned, and there's so much dust on it. So like scratches and all the crap. But this was quite interesting actually. Seeing that's like the only actual sequence that's in it. That's like a run. So that was like one morning I dropped my son off to school, and then there were all these like ravens on the oval, and they were like seemingly like attacking these birds that were like lying down. And I was just like there with my camera, because I always have a camera on me, and I was like documenting this scene. I was just like this. I didn't know what they were doing. I thought they were trying to kill some of their own. I said, what are they doing? And I sort of spoke to like an ornithologist later on, and he actually told me that they were like sort of establishing the pecking order. So they were actually like eating like grass seeds, and the young birds were not respecting the hierarchy of the flock. So they were like punished. So it's like, I thought it was like an incredible thing to witness. Yeah. Because like, I mean, during this kind of period, so like digging a grave, like my son, we talked about death as well, what that means, and that's like this kind of coming of age story that's like woven through it, but then extrapolated to like deep time and to the cross species kind of, just giving like visibility to that, basically, you know, like this these ravens like really sort of knew me in that time, because I was always there, so they were like not afraid of me. This like, oh, what's this strange dude with this camera again? Those are like lots of sort of experiments. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, I do have a question for you. What is the you're featuring ravens and no other birds. What is it about the raven?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's obviously this kind of it's a bird like lots of connotations. Like it's like in Western culture, like it's like it has this quite sort of dark like reference. I think like partly because like ravens used to like travel with the front in wars. They would like sort of follow the battlefield and like just eat cadavers, you know. So it's like quite sort of negative kind of connotation to it, like a dark omen, you know. So like initially when I started photographing them, I also like felt that like sort of these ominous birds. What are you trying to say? But like as I was sort of shooting these birds, like it became, I didn't feel that, because I could see sort of their society, and I could see like the young ones, and I felt much more like over tenderness. So it's like completely like changed that sort of preconceptualized idea of like the bringers of like bad tidings. Like it just completely destroyed that for me. So it became this little community that I was interacting with, and I'm not one for like to adhere to like conventions or like sort of or just to go with the westernized kind of idea of these birds signified that, you know. For me, it was about my relationship with these birds, and like I was just like very interested in what they were doing. But it's not like the birds mean this and that, you know. It's just like it was a relationship that evolved during that time, and I'm still like sort of, there's still like these sentinels that because I ride my bike when I ride to work. These birds watch over me. They're there, like, and I'm so like I smile when I sort of see them when I'm driving a car, or like it's the same murder of ravens that are so like always in that same spot, and they're just like there. They're just like looking out for me, or they're just doing whatever maybe they're just eating like from a dumpster or something, you know. But it just like brings me joy that I'm really aware of these birds. Yeah. So like that, I just like encountered them like flying over.
Yeah, I saw on your website too that you also had a series of these birds as well, but you used the title Messenger, and I was curious about that. What does that mean to you?
But yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is like I think there's this like the messenger is like, it's just what are they trying to say? Like I think I wrote all those descriptions on my website like in a sort of in like one go, I was like, I need to provide some content. So I was like, I don't know how accurate that term is, but it's just like, but
it came to you though.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, and they do like but I really like. I think sort of sentinels like or like sort of friends or like I don't know. I feel like they sort of look after me, like, and I'm just like aware of them, and that's like sort of what they. And there's something about it. There's just like very intelligent birds. Like it's, yeah, I don't know. I still feel like quite obsessed with them, to be honest. Like it's, like I'm actually sitting here. Like I mean, I keep going through the book. I mean, there's lots of like, see, like it's sort of thematically, it's sort of really built up like beautifully how it was sort of sequenced. That it sort of ends back where it starts, like, but there's just like a lot of work in there. So this is actually like the route I travel to work, and then they were like eating like a kangaroo that died, you know. So it was just like the circle that sort of come to full completion, almost like sort of death giving life again, you know. And there's something sort of morbid about it, but actually quite beautiful, and also like thoroughly Australian. Yeah.
Of course, that whole I know it kind of started out as a real life Minecraft experience, but it became a strong symbol. You had a couple of them. You shot it a lot, and then you also now have this square one, which is like very ominous, almost like a grave. And so, like, what was it meaning for you? Why was that such a strong visual cue for you?
Yeah, it was more like, I don't know, I was just, as I was sort of digging it, I was like, oh, I'm gonna make it into this kind of this rectangular kind of 6 foot underground kind of shape, because it's like I just was fascinated by like how, as like a sculptor almost, you know, like what happens if I dig this out? Unanimously, people say that's a grave, but it's just like a volume of dirt I've unearthed from my garden, you know. But it's all of a sudden you got this like hugely, like loaded thing, like, and I find that fascinating. That I was like, oh, it's a hole, like in my garden, but it's like, oh no, because I mean, we're like literally, I was like we're in a lockdown, I couldn't go anywhere, so I just created this kind of dynamic, this kind of scene, you know. I mean, my wife was like pregnant with a baby, so she was about to give birth, and I was like digging a grave in the backyard. So this was like life and death, you know. Like it just like, and then photographing my fossils. I was all like, and then I was printing them in like a garden shed. So it was all like happening there, like this crazy concoction of like life and death. Like, you know, it's like I didn't really want to make it into like a grave, but it's like I was just like fascinated. It's like, holy shit, just by having that shape, that's a grave, and I can work with that thematically.
And we all notice it. We all recognize it. And so it's really interesting.
But I mean, it's so essential, you know, like that in itself. Like people like don't like to talk about it, or like again, you talk about cliches where you talk about that, but it's just like it's such an integral part of life, you know. It's nothing to be like scared of. Like, you know, we are so like, ooh, but it's like that's cool, you know. We're gonna die.
Yeah. I will comment on it. It was very well done. It was very clean around the edges. I was impressed. I was like, oh, well, nice done. Nice.
Yeah. But I mean, that's it was like seeing the grave of my chickens. Was like I had to talk to my son about like that, you know. Like I mean, it's like that's sort of because we've lost many chickens over the years, you know, and it's like every time that he's like has to mourn, it's a grief because they're pets, you know. It's like it's teaching him like about life and death, you know, as well. Like it's a thing, and it is part of this dynamic that we're in, you know. It's another like thing that sort of binds us across species, really.